Okay, all right.
Let me jump right in the pool here. This was in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. Oregon, the geniuses up in liberal bastion of Oregon, raised the tax on the millionaires.
Yep.
They raised it was a 2% hit on the top millionaires.
Got it on the ballot. Got the class warfare thing going. Got the people of the state to do it to them. Thinking, let's get even with those guys.
So they're they're building our streetcar, right? Portland.
Great. Sleep tight on that one. Only New York City has a rate that's higher. Oregon's liberal voters ratified the tax, as Frank said. And the Oregon newspaper reported, income tax and other revenues collections began plunging so steeply that the gains from the two measures seemed trivial. One reason revenues are slow is about 1/4 of the rich people moved out of the state. Right. Apparently went from $38,000 at that level tire tax bracket to $28,000.
I guess the members of the legislature in Oregon don't read the Wall Street Journal because that has happened now. That is the fourth fourth state that has done that. Maryland was the most recent one that did it. They increased the top margin, but the millionaire tax. They just call it straight out. If you make over $1 million a year, we're going to tax the living snot out of you. And what happened? Immediately within a year, half the millionaires left the state. Most of them went to Florida because there is no income tax. So what these guys don't get is this is a very mobile population. It ain't some poor guy stuck in an apartment that he can barely afford.
Right. And who can afford to move better
he can't he can't find a job somewhere else. He can't hook the U-Haul up. That guy ain't going nowhere. But when you got a guy that's a millionaire, he's making that kind of money, that guy can say, you know what, screw you guys. He doesn't even pack up the U-Haul. He picks up the phone, and this whole high-end moving company comes, and he and his wife fly first class to their new home that they had never probably even seen. They just had some real estate agent pick out for them and move to. And they don't get it. And these guys are the guys that generate revenue. Obviously, here's the problem with class warfare. When I see someone that's wealthy and making a lot of money, I look at him and go, what is he doing that I can do?
I want to pick the brain.
I got to figure out how I can get to where he's at and work myself into his shoes. The other side says, you know what, this guy must have cheated, stole, stepped on somebody, exploited somebody. So I'm going to take away from him because he's bad. I'm going to take his money away because I'm jealous of him. I despise him. So I'm going to take his money and I'm going to give it away to somebody who doesn't have the same work ethic, doesn't understand how to manage their money, and basically, I'm just going to give it to them so they can flush that down the drain and continue in their
Atlas
world.
Shrugged. If you haven't read the novel, go read it. It's been the 50. Ayn Rand wrote it.
In their world of poverty, and that's what this. That's why I'm still pushing this flat tax. It's hitting some bumps, but we're going to get it. You have got to destroy the tools of class warfare, and the progressive tax code is a huge tool that the left uses to divide and conquer, and we got to stop it. Got to stop it.
Last May we passed Prop 100.
Yeah, we talked about this in the way. The 1 cent sales tax.
Right.
Okay, and remember,
which is not bringing in the amount of money.
Well, that's the question: is what is the collections looking like?
It's going to. The projection has it coming in a little over $700 million. It's going to be about a little over $200 million short.
And everybody said billion.
Well, $960 million. Right.
And we're coming in at 7.
Yeah, a little over like 720. I think.
Is that because of the economy or because of adding the extra tax? People don't have as much.
Well,
to spend?
it's both. It's both. I think that. The economy is not all. Sales tax revenue is down 37% to begin with. So we added to the sales tax, knowing that it was a weak revenue generator. And then on top of that, whenever you tax anything, you discourage activity in whatever it is you're taxing. And
so let me get that straight, real quick. The more you tax it, the less you get of it.
Yeah.
And the less you tax it, the more.
Because you chase people somewhere else to go do something.
Wait, but just make sure that's cool.
And the example was, we have mutual friends, Deb and Charlie, and they told me that Charlie's in the retail business, that he saw a significant drop in sales, and he noticed that a lot of people were purchasing their car stereos online and then bringing them to him to install. And they weren't buying them from him; they were buying them online, and they were trying to get the stuff installed at his place. So people in Arizona, naturally, when the sales tax went up, and it's funny, you could actually go to the Department of Revenue website and look at the sales before the sales tax went into effect. It was all prior to they had car sales shot up, all retail sales all shot up, and then right after it went into effect, boom, it plummeted.
Really?
And then internet sales went up, which instantly makes people come back up to the legislature. Well, now we got to tax the internet because obviously these people are hurting. And the retail guys are asking me, Frank, you got to tax the internet. My retail's hurting. You got to. I said, look. The problem isn't taxing the internet. The problem is lowering the sales tax to help you guys and not taxing the internet. I mean, I want to stay away from that. But these guys, they don't get it. You discourage activity. So that's what that tax does. And Maryland did it. What was it? Washington State did it, and then one other state, I can't remember. There was
I remember the Maryland one we talked about a year ago.
Yeah, 4 states did it. Chases them out, and it how dumb can you be when we have 50 petri dishes in this country, states that experiment with all sorts of stuff. If you're in the legislature, you don't look at what other states are doing, what works and what's not working, and you turn around, even though 3 other states have done this, and all 3 times it's failed miserably, and you do it anyway.
All right, well, let's shift gears.
It's got to be political.
Hold on, before you shift gears on. They when they passed that thing, they were hitting us over the head with this money is going to save education.
Right.
The sales tax.
Which
I had soccer moms with all their stuff
unethical and inaccurate.
Okay.
Right.
How did the numbers? How was the allocations going to work for education compared to what they?
Here's what happened. That $960 million, most of which was supposed to go. The governor held the legislature basically at gunpoint and threatened them that if they didn't make the cut to education high enough to encourage people to vote for it, because the original K through 12 cut for Prop 100 was going to be a little over $200 million, and that wasn't high enough. So no, we got to raise it more, because people aren't going to, vote for it. So we raised that amount to over $400 million, and then she would be able to go around and say, hey, if you don't vote for this, you're going to see this big cut to K through 12. But we spent the money that was projected to be brought in, which was $960 million, that was built into the budget. That money was spent.
So that means you're $200 million
right.
shy.
So because we're $200 million shy, that sales tax, where people were led to believe that it would close the deficit, in reality, it actually expanded and grew the deficit because it added another $200 million to the deficit, because we didn't increase the tax to generate $960 million to cut spending and get our deficit down. We literally spent that money before it even came in. And that was the deal. And that's why I was against it. And people are, why would you oppose that? Because it didn't make fiscal sense.
Sure.
And we did nothing to get the economy going.
Sure.
All we did was increase taxes and spend more money.
Right.
And that was just stupid. Yeah. So I opposed it. And I caught a little crap for voting against it. And my seatmate Dave Gowan voted against it because it just didn't make sound policy. And, I'm right. I hate to say it, but, I hate to pull a Rush Limbaugh, but I told you so. And they roll these kids out and threaten to throw them under the bus unless people vote for it. And that was a despicable way to raise that tax, and it's been a failure.
All right, well, let's shift gears to more, because what we're talking about here is the federalist system. You talked about the mobility of capital, the mobility of money. Back in the early founding of this country, they let each state have its own rights, federalist system, so that if you didn't like what was going on in Massachusetts, you could jump over to Pennsylvania.
Right.
If Newark kind of hit you on your business or your taxes or your quality of life, you move to the next one. So there's a real push back to that right now.
Right.
You guys did the light bulbs, screw the light bulb bill, gun bills. If it's made in the state and used in the state, it's not Commerce Clause.
Right.
Leave us alone.
We have a committee now in the Senate that Russell Pierce established called the State Sovereignty and States' Rights Committee, which I'm on, by the way. And one of the things we're pushing this year is a Article 5 convention.
Is this the 2/3 thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
of the states ratify something?
We're going to push for Article 5 convention, which is a 38 states have to ratify it, to propose an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to allow the states to nullify anything that comes out of Congress and the Supreme Court. So I'll give you an example. So the health care bill just passed. Now, if we had the nullification amendment, and under the amendment that's being proposed, all it would take is 30 states to nullify the law.
So 30 states say, all your legislatures in 30 states say, we don't like Obamacare. It goes back to the feds and it gets killed.
So it's killed. It killed. So it's a great amendment, because if the Supreme Court comes out with a ruling and says that we believe this to be unconstitutional, then 30 states can say, no, we disagree with you, and nullify this, because there's no check and balance really on the Supreme Court.
Or back to the states.
And people don't understand the concept of federalism because they don't teach it in school, which is, if my seatmate Dave Gowan, he loves digging into the history, and he pounds on people all the time and tries to just explain to them the intent. The power granted to the federal government comes from the states.
Right.
It was set that way in the Constitution. The check and balance on the federal government is supposed to be the states. But the left up there, and Steve Farley and Kirsten Sinema says, oh, no, the federal government's the supreme. We got to do whatever they tell us to do. No.
Right.
They get their authority from us.
They're using this Commerce Clause in the Constitution
totally
for
abused.
Everything. That's what the challenge on the healthcare debate is going to the Supreme Court is on.
Abused.
Can you use interstate commerce as a way to make you buy?
The Commerce Clause was supposed to prevent states from breaking going out and doing their own treaties with foreign entities so that they can get special trading preferences and all that other stuff. It was never designed to tell you what kind of toilet to have in your home, what kind of light bulb to have in your home, mandating that you bought a certain type of health care or whatever. That was never and then it wasn't used for gun control, which is what the Commerce Clause is used for. So the Founding Fathers never intended that, and it has been abused, and the Supreme Court has failed to keep Congress in check by kicking back these I say unconstitutional.
Well, it was also the fact when states traded with each other.
Right.
There needed to be some sort of authority.
Well, yeah, where Arizona could break a deal with Nevada to hurt California. That was what it was supposed to do.
Hey, let's run to break. It's 6:46 on the Wake Up Tucson show. We're on with Frank Antenori. Let's talk about states' sovereignty with what Texas has done. Let's talk about what they've done with potentially breaking away from access and Medicaid and all those conversations that these states are flexing their muscles financially. Job creation. How does each state compete with each other in the federalist system? So if that doesn't excite you after the break, tune back in.
I also want to talk about your marvelous appearance on Arizona Illustrated.
I haven't seen it. I got to watch
it. You got that look in your eye like you're going to rip her heart out.
All right, I got to watch it.
Wake Up Tucson.
Me and Al got pretty fired up.
It's 790-2040 is the number. Wake Up Tucson, 1030 The Voice.